Hello and welcome to another amazing video where I tell the worst and most disgusting stories known to mankind. Don't worry though, this one only involves a little bit of bestiality. It even has a happy ending. Real treat. Actually, this story is so wholesome that it was in my 2nd grade English textbook and was only a little bit watered down. Our hero's name is Atalanta. She's a princess of Arcadia and her name means equal in weight, in reference to the fact that she's a woman, but is equal in weight to a man. So according to the Greeks, a woman's greatest aspiration is to be equal to the average man. On an unrelated note, the Greeks were a bit misogynistic. Atalanta's dad, King Shonius, immediately ditched her at Mount Parthenion. This was because he wanted a male heir to the throne instead, and must have thought that you can only have one kid at a time, so he abandoned her in hopes of having a boy next time. Luckily for Atalanta, a reverse orphaned mama bear stumbled upon her, and instead of eating her as a nice tasty snack, the mama bear actually adopted her. She was raised like Tarzan, but by a bear. She loved the huntress goddess Artemis, and tried to model herself after her. And oh my god, she did. She is an absolute badass. When living in the wild, 2 centaurs, massive fucking horsemen, tried to rape her, and she murdered them, absolutely, utterly destroyed them. They were not even recognizable after she was done with them. Oh, and did I mention that she did all this while dodging their acidic blood? After getting bored of being a Sigma female, she re-entered society, and one of her first events that she attended was an arm wrestling match after a funeral. She went up against King Peleus, well known throughout all of Greece for his arm wrestling prowess, and absolutely fucking destroyed him. Oh my god, he got rolled. He got destroyed so hard that a big motif in Greek art is her beating his ass. She was so badass that she was the only woman to be an Argonaut. The Argo was like the Avengers Endgame of Greek mythology. It had all the coolest and greatest heroes. At one point, this wine-loving goober called King Onius, he got so drunk that he forgot to honor Artemis. And being a rational god, Artemis decided to release a man-eating boar upon his city. And this was to be expected. You don't just dishonor a god like that. They're gonna kill you. This Caledonian boar, as it was called, just could not be stopped, even by heroes such as Theseus. But Atalanta, she just showed up and showed him how it's done. She just obliterated it with ease. She just killed it herself. They did a little bit after she started going to town, but she did really all the work. There was like 10 people there fighting the boar at once, and she just soloed it. She's just the pinnacle of a Sigma. Oh my goodness gracious me. And despite that they did nothing, some of them even died. How? They were so embarrassed that when it was time to split the spoils, they pretended like she did nothing. There was only one dude, Milliger, who wanted to even let her have the hide, which was the prized possession of a kill. And it wasn't even because he wanted to be fair, it was because he wanted to get into her toga. Anyways, he got called a simp because his uncles thought that it would be dishonorable if a woman had such a prize, so he killed him. Kinda based. Also thinking logically was Milliger's mother. She was so mad that he killed her brothers that she threw the log dictating and representing his life into the fire. So he just got Thanos snapped out of existence, completely and utterly disintegrated. And well, you know what they say, no good deed goes unpunished. Eventually, King Shonius gets word of this absolute girl boss who apparently was raised by a bear on Mount Parthenion. He realized that maybe this Atalanta character was his daughter, that he definitely loved dearly and lost to a tragic freak accident. He sent a messenger to ask her if he could take her back. Atalanta obliged because living in a palace is kinda nice. King Shonius, however, being the slimy piece of chauvinistic slime that he was, really wanted to get her married off. Atalanta decided to humor him, but the potential suitor had to beat her in a foot race, and if they failed, she'd kill them. This was a great loophole because she was super fast, like really fast, like Dream, Sonic, and according to Wikipedia, even grew up to be a swift-footed virgin. She is literally the Roadrunner in real life, that is how fast she is. When confronted with the possibility of marrying a hot woman, a bunch of suitors were like,
Oh my god! Oh my
and they just thought with their dicks instead of their brains, and just YOLO'd. They went for it. And lost in tremendous fashion, as expected. Every single one of them. Oh my god. Atalanta had a better win rate than Cecil the Turtle. It did not matter if she was running in a full suit of armor, and the dude had a head start of a fifth of the race. She would annihilate them and break the sound barrier. Finally, a guy named Hippomenes comes along. He actually learned from the mistakes of literally dozens of dead guys, and actually realizes that he won't win as long as he plays fair. So, he goes to the gods for help, specifically Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and appeals to her. She's the best wingman ever, a real homie, and definitely helps him for reasons not pertaining to objectifying women. What she does is she gives him 3 golden apples from the Garden of Hesperides that she definitely didn't steal. She says the apples are irresistible, even though the plan she gives him includes him giving them away. Anyways, she basically just tells him to throw them at Atalanta during the race. So, little chicken legs comes along and he tries to race. He looks like a wuss, so the other dudes are like, nah bro, no shot you win. But he's like, don't worry, I have absorption for lunch. He gets laughed at, but Atalanta kinda pities Mr. Happy Feet and lets him have a chance, cause he's kinda cute. The race starts off intense. He's punching his arms, trying to say that he's Barry Allen, but the wind from Atalanta in a clanking suit of armor passes him. He takes out his brown paper bag and opens it and yeets an apple as far as he can, of course. Atalanta is feeling kind of hungry, and so, she being confident, yoinks the apple real quick and has a chomp or two of the bruised skin. Soon, she passes him up, but ka-chow! Another apple is tossed. She liked the last one, so she has another. She quickly scoops it up, but is not thrown off course for very long. Hippomenes, down to his last delectable, succulent, and juicy apple, is scared. There's only the final stretch of the race, but Atalanta is fast approaching. The clanking grows closer. He quickly throws the apple as hard as his penis was. Atalanta takes a dive for it, knowing that she'll need that 5 minutes of fire resistance. It's just 10 meters left, and in a final burst of adrenaline, Hippomenes passes the finish line in a match closer than the first race in Cars 1. He did it. He got the woman. Hot diggity dog. He can now use his one-eyed dog. Surprisingly, Hippomenes was a pretty cool dude, and Atalanta grew to love him. Unfortunately for the couple, Aphrodite soon grew very upset. You see, for this egotistical bitch, a huge thank you wasn't enough, and Aphrodite got really angry. So when the married couple went out to do some hunting, Aphrodite, as revenge, made them both, really horny. So this is usually not that bad of a thing, but the problem was that they were right next to a shrine of the goddess Cybele, who understandably felt pretty disrespected by what they perceived as voyeuristic goofballs, and turned them into lions. But it didn't really matter, since they kind of just sort of carried on, having discovered a new kink. But they were unfortunately stuck as perpetual furries. But hey, they lived happily ever after, and that's more than most Greek heroes could ask for.